Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Today on the show, we got today's games day, games industry day. Excuse me. We have quite a few interesting stories relating to video games. A great write-up by Jason Schreier about how people don't want to spend $80 for a AAA game when indie offers arguably better experience for much cheaper price. We'll take a look at how Riot Games combats cheating, and why consoles may be really expensive still, and it's seems like it could be with regarding chip manufacturing, which is interesting, I guess, and some other random stuff. Actually, specifically games journalism. And we'll look at GTA 6 delay. Okay. Actually, one story I do want to cover quickly before we cover game stuff is just cover this Waymo story. And we'll cover this tomorrow. This is a tomorrow thing. We'll stick to games today. Okay. Also, new overlay. What's up? A little more friendlier, kind of what I'm going for. Or welcoming is probably a better term. And I think it looks a lot cleaner. Fits more of the brand, quote unquote, I'm kind of going for. There's some changes that I need to make. Yeah, I'm going to start adding like a lower thirds topic thing too, but getting there. Okay. Water. One sec. All right. Players have too many options to spend $80 on a video game. Now, this is my friends and I have had some discussions about this in our Discord, but it's getting arguably the AAA games is just, it's kind of shooting themselves in the foot, I guess. Like, I'm looking at it like they're raising the price, but that inadvertently also raises their own bar, which is already arguably very high due to themselves touting how ambitious all of the things in games and stuff that they're doing are. And it's like this cycle. So it's like, I kind of don't feel bad for them because they're doing it to themselves. But now it's more so that the actual market itself is arguably ironing out kind of the kinks, i.e. AAA might be going downhill a bit until, you know, they figure their shit out. I just think that it's gonna be, these games are just gonna have to be crazy if they are gonna start raising the price like they are. Especially considering that it's getting much easier to make better indie games for small teams, and it could be very lucrative. And so it's kind of like, why, like, if, you know, a few industry veterans who maybe have some savings could just make a good game and get like pretty good margins and money for them to either hire some more people to make another like small to medium sized game, or just keep making, you know, smaller games as a small team, as like a collective type, like that seems cool. Like, it seems like a good gig, like a good deal, I guess. Yeah, okay, let's just, enough opinion. Also love Jason Schreier. He has great he has good takes on this stuff, and he's done a pretty good like reporting. His books, he's written several books that have all kind of covered this kind of topic itself, which I recommend. So yeah, and this also looks like it's potentially like a roundup. Okay. He's like, first note, some breaking Friday note. Okay, yeah. This is GTA 5 delayed. To deliver the quality and expect you deserve. And this, in like perfect start, because this is exactly what we're talking about. It's like GTA 6 has taken how many years to make? Now it's delayed. It's gonna cost who knows how much. And they've set the expectation so high just because of the fact that they've taken so long to make the game, and likely that the game is just gonna be like hella fucking expensive, and that in itself is also gonna raise bars. I don't know. To industry insiders and readers of Bloomberg's Game On, this came as no big surprise, but it still spooked Wall Street as parent company Take-Two Interactive Software shares plummeted as much as 10% following the news. Holy shit! They're up today actually. Roblox down. Game is no big surprise, but still, what's the difference? Jesus. But it's Monday. It's Monday, guys. Plummeted as much as 10% following news, which, from my perspective, is very silly. What's the difference between making a cajillion dollars in the fall and making a cajillion dollars in May? Right? It's more so maybe due to financial projections. So if they gave out projections for the year, and then now they're moving it out of it, that could dampen things. But yeah, no, it's like moving things up a few months. What's the difference? As far as I know, there's no ulterior motive or juicy mishap behind this delay. It's simple explanation. There wasn't enough time left to finish all the work that remained. For months now, I've heard skepticism from Rockstar employees about the viability of that fall 2025 window, although the company continued to insist that it was real. Short of cutting significant amount of content and mandating overtime, which Rockstar management has been trying very hard not to do. Yeah, I think that was like a big like scandal with Rockstar. As we previously reported, fall 2025 was never going to happen. Dang. It's crazy though, because other game developers were kind of like on the edge about like when they want to release their game, because they didn't want to share a fucking release weekend with GTA 6 because everyone's going to be playing that game instead of Battlefield, you know, let's say. And I did hear rumors that Battlefield now, they may push up the Battlefield release, because I think Battlefield was theorized to be released in like Q1, Q2 of 2026. And now if it might share that with GTA 5 or 6, that they might push it up now instead of like keeping it around that time. Which for me, I'm like, hell yeah, because I'm a Battlefield player. I want it early. I want the new game, so yeah. We might actually watch that video since we're doing games today, game day, game industry news. We might actually watch that. Okay, and then so this week's gaming news: Electronic Arts laid off hundreds of staff, canceled Titanfall project, which we actually covered on Thursday. Roblox reported 26% in daily users, which we actually looked at Roblox earnings last week too. Gaming site Polygon, which were actually gaming site Polygon was sold to the controversial media network Valnet, which immediately laid off most of its staff, and we're actually going to cover that later. We'll cover it here. It's part of my industry news roundup, and we're actually going to look at Giant Bomb too, because Giant Bomb is having problems as well. Okay, now we're getting into it. Here are two interesting facts. Fact one, Microsoft's Xbox announced this week that it will sell some of its upcoming video games for $80. A hike from the previous standard of $70, which itself was a hike from a $60 just a few years ago. Right, and it seems like we just got the $70, and then he says right here, this comes as the wake of Nintendo Co.'s announcement last month that the new Mario Kart game for Switch 2 will be $80. And Nintendo kind of broke the, straw, and now Microsoft is quickly following. But it does make sense because I guess just considering how Xbox is doing now and their positioning and how I wouldn't be surprised if it's likely a tactic to also get people just to pay for Games Pass, because it's like, okay, $80, or it's like, okay, I could just pay like $30 just for a month, just while I play it, and then they forget about it, and 6 years later they paid $3,000 and have played like 6 games a part of it. Let's be real. Apex Legends, and they play the free games that's on the Game Pass. Like, yeah, I play Game Pass, like, bro, Apex Legends. It's like, dude, that game is free. Yeah. And talking about GTA 2, there's we're also in our little games chat, we're theorizing about how much GTA 6 could cost, and we kind of think it could be around like $100, like up to $100. And my friend actually laid out like a very good pros and cons list, kind of, and the pros definitely outweigh the cons. Mainly, it's kind of just like, why wouldn't they? In other words, going back to the hype, this could also be a benefit. It could benefit the gaming company in the sense that the game could be shit and people buy it. The hype over the years have just gotten too high where it's like it doesn't matter and people are just like want the game no matter what. So it's like they're okay paying like $100 or some shit. Yeah, I don't know. The $80 game price hike for games it kind of sucks. And, even looking at it just like business wise, think about like a business. Price hike is like the easiest way to make more money as a business. And inevitably you will lose some customers, but you will probably still keep most of them and just in turn make more money and make up for the people leaving, because you need less people to make as much money as you did before, but now you're, selling product for more money in general. Like, so I mean, I don't know. It sucks for gamers, but I think that there's going to be a peak because you're going to start this like pricing out fucking people from playing video games, which is kind of crazy to think about. Or like buy now, pay later. Bro, buy now, pay later for video games? Does that has to exist on like some stores. Wait, can you actually do it on Steam even? I didn't even think about that. Buy now, pay later. I need a fucking loan to buy GTA 5 for $700. GTA 9. Yeah, I need a loan to buy GTA 9 in 50 years for $900. Or Take-Two will just be like, oh, we'll just take we actually just implant this chip in your brain and we can just take your memory, which we'll then use to train our AI, and you can actually just get the game for free in return. It's like, oh wow. Oh yeah, buy now, pay later on Steam. That's what it was. Look. Let's just add this to my cart. View my cart. Oh, whoops. Continue to payment. Change payment method. Okay, you could do PayPal, which has buy now, pay later, but they don't have it directly on here. I don't know why. I was like, I could see Steam just like having like Klarna or something built directly in. But yeah, buy now, pay later for video games coming soon. Okay. Xbox was vague in its explanation, but there are a lot of potential reasons for this price hike, including President Trump's trade war. But you make software. It's video games are software. Fears of looming recession and pressure from Microsoft that have been growing for 2 years now. Xbox also raised the price of its consoles and accessories. Yes. And we're actually going to look at that next. Fact 2. The 3 highest reviewed video games of 2025 so far, according to the review aggregation site Metacritic, are Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Blueprints, and Split Fiction. Those games cost respectively $50, $30, and $50. 50 is still expensive, though. Like, you know. Claire Observer is a dazzling role-playing game developed by a small French game studio. Blueprints is a brilliant puzzle roguelike that was largely made by one guy in Los Angeles. Split Fiction, published by EA, is a co-op multiplayer game by a smallish team in Stockholm. All 3 appear to be commercially successful. Claire Observer sold 1 million copies in the first week. Holy shit. Split Fiction sold 2 million copies. Sales figures for Blueprints are not available, but the numbers on Steam appear to be strong. Perhaps it's a coincidence that the best rated games of the year just happen to be budget titles, but I think the 2 facts above point to something else, a critical flaw in the video game industry's operations that have contributed to its plateaued growth and widespread layoffs. Yeah. The cost of making video games skyrocketed over the last decade. Analyst Juice Van Drunen estimate the cost of AAA games production have swelled from an average of $128.2 million in early 2010 to an average of $440 million today. Holy shit. Like 4x increase. An increase that has not been coupled with commensurate growth in players or sales, likely wages too, let's be real. AAA game development has entered a danger zone where content bloat, not innovation, drives cost unprecedented heights, he wrote this week. Content bloat. Yeah, and that's interesting though, because I think a lot of the content bloat likely drives from like monetization. I guess like I'm trying to think of like a single player game that has like content bloat, and I feel like it's not as common. Maybe I don't really know what they mean by content bloat specifically. Okay, this is one of the reasons Xbox and other big publishers are looking to sell games for $80 to help make up for the rising costs and lack of player growth. I feel like every game studio just needs a fucking live serve. They just need a Fortnite just to juice their numbers and just have them work on whatever they want and like not have to worry about like layoffs that much. I know Epic Games did lay off people, but like they just need a fucking Apex Legends, a Fortnite, just a live service game that just is always on, that like people just like come back to. It's just like very safe in a way. Like it's good reoccurring revenue. You could like update it for like 5+ years, so you could, figure out what's next in the background. Like yeah, every AAA studio just needs the Resident online service game. Okay. This is one of the reasons Xbox and big publishers are looking to sell games for $80 to help make up for the rising costs and lack of player growth. But it's also a risky move. For players, there are more options than ever before, including a number of online games that are free to play. Convincing people to spend $80 before tax, true, on a single game might be a tough ask, especially when the best games of the year so far cost $50 or less. Yes. Hiking up prices will cause players to be even more selective in their game choices, which certainly won't lead to more growth. Grand Theft Auto 6 and other titles can certainly get away with it, but can the latest good but not great games from Xbox? Doubt. X the doubt. Player Observer, Blueprints, and Split Fiction are 3 different titles, but they have a lot in common. They're all clear, focused games made by relatively small teams with specific goals. All 3 use commercially available technology, Unreal Engine, Unreal and Unity engines, rather than reinventing the wheel in expensive ways. Yeah, and this is a very good point, because we've seen the narrowing of the, specifically of like AAA custom engines. Everyone's moving to Unreal, seems like. Fucking even Bethesda's Oblivion remaster is Unreal. Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red is moving to Unreal. And they had custom engine before. I know EA has Frostbite, but I think EA's still, like, their Battlefield game is still going to be Frostbite. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. I don't know what my other Microsoft studios use, but I think in general that's part of the like reinventing the wheel. And like, it's like, bro, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to maintain and continue to update this engine, when it's just like, okay, we could just give a few % of sales and use that that manpower and everything elsewhere in better places, or just not at all, and we don't have to maintain that, and instead we can just focus on making a better game, and then outsource the actual engine to, i.e. Unreal, Unity. Godot has a long way to go before it's like AAA. Or like using a like like the Frostbite probably uses like Vulkan or some shit, like a actual like engine framework like OpenGL or something. But it's expensive. None of them need to sell 10 million copies to make up for a bloated budget, so they can take risks that wouldn't be tolerated on a $200 million project. That risk-taking is the primary driver of their success. Player Observer embraced turn-based combat, which many companies see as antiquated. Blueprints is full of puzzles and mysteries that most players will never see, a risk that big-budget games could never take. This is also a very good point, too, because this also just kind of shows sometimes that, like, the AAA games are, like, there's, like, everything has to have a justification. And because of that, things that might otherwise be cool or interesting definitely get cut to support this kind of like, the overall vision of like the director, or like what goals that like they may have imposed on them via like the corpos, I guess. Like, make this amount of money, this amount of player engagement, blah, blah, blah. And they have to sacrifice things like Easter eggs and shit that players would never see, because they need to justify spending time on something that a player would never do or see. It's like in Split Fiction is a co-op game that requires 2 people to play and is full of ambitious gameplay mechanics. Granted, that one is less risky than others, given that its similarly designed predecessor have sold exceptionally well. Yeah, I mean, this is like a sequel or whatever, so all 3 of these top-rated games are designed for a specific type of player rather than trying to appeal to everyone, which is something that you can only afford to do if you're not spending 9 figures to make a game. Yeah, this is what I was kind of trying to say too, in the way. Like, this is like, yeah, you got to appeal to the wider audience if you have a more budget, just for the fact that you need to make up for all the money you're going to spend on the game. But that in turn, then when it gets for the wider audiences, like, generalizes things. There's less detail because they need to like make like everyone be able to understand it. Not saying that that's always bad, but the word that comes to mind is like monoculture, but like that's not really the right word. Like mono, I don't know. It's why developers of Claire Observer popped champagne at selling 1 million copies, while EA declared Dragon Age Veilguard a failure for hitting similar numbers. Yeah, that's crazy. That's funny. Another thing you can only afford to do if you're not spending 9 figures is to sell your game for $50 or $30. It is a coincidence that the best reviewed games of 2025 are all cheaper than normal box products. Maybe, but it's also evidence that smaller scale and focus can equate to quality. Yeah. Best of luck to Xbox and anyone else who tries to sell games for $80, with the countless people worried about the economic landscape and the continued uncertainty around Trump's tariffs. Turning games into a luxury good may provide to be a fatal mistake. A luxury good, especially considering that likely the largest audience of games are younger people who just have less money just because of the fact that they're just not, they're not into careers in their life or whatever. Usually it's like they're just still trying to figure things out. And so it's like now that, you got to drop $80, it's like, shit, it's $80 or like groceries for the, a game or groceries for the week. Like, shit, you're probably going to pick food. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what the I guess we'll see like when actual games start hitting like Steam and shit for $80, like what the reactions will be. Is there any yeah, and I was like Star Wars Jedi Survivor is 70. And Star Wars Outlaw is 70. But nothing else. NBA 2K25 is $80. Wait. Was it the base price? Oh no, tournament edition. Okay. But this is 2K. This is GTA. Same company as GTA Take Two. Thing. Oh yeah, EA Sports. Jeez. Bro, fucking Shadow of War is still $60, but it's on sale. Like, come on, guys. Alright, yeah, game pricing is insane, especially AAA, especially for old games. Like, sometimes it's like, guys, this game is 20 years old. The only place you could buy it at is like, is like from the company's website for like $40. It's like, guys, drop it to like $5. Like, you're not making money off of this anyways. Like, how many copies are you selling, really? Okay, now let's dive into more the console side. So we just looked at how games are going to be more expensive. And consoles, especially like PS5 Pro or whatever, like, bro, it's like a car. Every COD game, bro, literally. Literally. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I said that. Exactly what I was thinking of. Okay, now we got consoles. I am a little out of touch with consoles because I've been PC gamer for pretty much better part of 10 plus years, like exclusively PC. Minus Steam Deck, but that's PC technically. At least I think it is. But arguably, sometimes I feel like the consoles, in a way, maybe minus the PlayStation, because I think the PlayStation does actually push technological boundaries. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the Xbox console. They've like, this is I've read several op-eds, not all on stream, about like kind of what the future of Xbox is specifically, because like their console strategy is like non-existent now. Seems like they kind of given up in a way and just want to push everything towards Game Pass or like subscription, style services versus like selling actual hardware. Um, but I do wonder how much, like, if the PlayStation is really pushing the boundaries and Xbox isn't. And then we have the Nintendo Switch, which arguably Nintendo Switch is behind all of those in terms of performance. Like the graphics on, like, I swear the Switch is like 720p, like not even that long ago. And I know it's a handheld console, but like it's also a dock one. I don't know. The Switch's graphics just don't hold up, I guess. But it's like if all the consoles are now progressing at much different paces in terms of like advancement in technology and games technology, as a dev, it's like okay guys, like can we come into like some sort of like agreement in a way? Like we can't develop 3 completely separate games, like separate like technologies behind it, like just to release it on your console. Like, we need some sort of like, standardization. But and also it's like with so many games, like publishers and I guess developers mainly being owned by the console developers themselves, i.e. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. And now it's like it makes the like market even more like fragmented in a way. Because now it's just you're getting like exclusives, less sharing, although Xbox did say that Xbox is still pushing things to PlayStation. But maybe it's more so PlayStation, I guess. I don't know, I guess it seems very fragmented, and like you really have to like pick a platform and like stick with it. It's like you can't like back then it's like, bro, I had PlayStation, Xbox, like, and it was kind of just like whatever. It's like, yeah, my games like didn't always work, but like, or your disc didn't work. But back then it's not like I had like 90 games. It's like I had like 4, and I just played like a few games. And it's just like I might get a new one here and there, but it's like, oh, I'd go over to a friend's house and like that's how I might play a new game, or like we would just like trade discs or some shit. It's like, yeah. I guess my point is like the console market is so different now, especially compared to PlayStation or PC. We're in an interesting spot. Okay, and now I guess with terms of technological advancement. Who wants to like make room for making a fucking like tiny ass chip for Nintendo Switch when like you could make a chip for Nvidia to sell it 100x the price, and when you have tech, you have like AI people now willing to pay exorbitant amount just to get anything any sort of chip. It's like the chip industry now, which is kind of the brain of the console, is also not fragmented. Actually, it's very siloed, but that's creating its own problems, I guess. Okay, let's read. For many years, I wouldn't get a new game console until a couple years after it launched. This is partly because, and this is an opinion piece, so it's partly because I wanted any new console I bought to have a decent sized library of things to play, and partly because it's sometimes paid to sit back and see which console was going to win the generation in terms of first party exclusives or third party developer support. It's kind of what we were just talking about there. But mostly it was because from the Atari VSCs in the 70s all the way through PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation in the 2010s, you could always count on game consoles getting cheaper as time went on. Those price reductions would often come with internal tweaks and external redesigns, smaller or slimmer, or otherwise improved versions of the console that made them superior to the originals, though you would occasionally lose a lesser used feature or the two along the way. Both of those things have mostly stopped. The last permanent price drop for a major home or portable console we could find came back in 2016. Wow. When the PS4 Slim launched and dropped the price of entry from $349 to $299. This was literally the last console I got too. It was PS4 Slim because of this price drop. It's actually, I was like, you know what? I was like, I want to play, I don't know, Horizon Zero Dawn or some shit, which came out at the time. And that was it. Like the new Nintendo 2DS in 2017. or $249 all digital Xbox One in 2019. Okay, so this is new consoles. I see. This generation, we've seen something that would have been unheard of a few years ago. Price increases for consoles, including $50 extra for the new OLED edition of the Nintendo Switch in 2021. A $50 price hike for the slimmer disc drive-less version of the PlayStation 5 in 2023. And $80 to $100 price hike for the exact same unimproved version of the Xbox Series X earlier this week. Yeah. Right. They're just like, yeah, we're just selling it for more just because we need more money. Or it costs more to make. So we need more money. These price increases have multiple intertwining causes, some direct and some less so. Inflation, pandemic-era supply crunches, the unpredictable trade policies of the Trump administration, and a gradual shift among console makers away from selling hardware at a loss or breaking even in the hopes that game sales will subsidize the hardware. And you ever want to rule out good old shareholder prioritization? Oh my god. Prioritize corporate greed. Which is what we were talking about. It's Monday, okay? But one major factor, both in the price increase and in the reduction of drastic slim style designs, is technical. The death of Moore's Law and a noticeable slowdown in the rate at which processors and graphic chips can improve. Same. What is Moore's Law? Yeah. Moore's Law is just the increase of capacitors and transistors in chips over time. Kind of doubles every few years. And we've since broken that, which is good. Don't let the name throw you off. It's not really a law. Moore's Law is something in between a goal and an observation, coined by Intel co-founder Gordon Moore in 1965. We're going to speed read this because, yeah. That's the number of transistors in a given chip would double roughly every year, later revised in 1975 to every 2 years. Moore's Law held true over the next 4 decades thanks to dramatic improvements in the manufacturing process used to make silicon chips. Chip fabricators like Intel and AMD and Samsung and TSMC. TSMC now is the leader in at least the fabrication of them. And Samsung, actually. Samsung's like one of the largest too. And others that come and gone kept developing more and more advanced chips that cram more transistors into the same amount of physical space, making that continued doubling of transistor counts over time feasible. Now, everyone will declare in so many words that Moore's Law is dead, and any given tech exec's opinion on that says just as much about the exec's motivations than anything else. NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, who can sell GPUs for more money if Moore's Law is dead, will tell you it's dead. Yep, we gotta look at the incentives, which I always try and push. Intel execs who are trying to convince you that Intel is on the road to being a competitive manufacturer of high-end chips will contest that. But the fact remains that progress in new manufacturing technologies has slowed, and developing new ones has gotten dramatically more time-consuming and expensive. And unless people find a way to make transistors subatomic, we'll hit the boundaries of actual laws sooner or later. The laws of physics. Yeah. So how does this relate to game consoles? We're getting to that. A side effect of fitting more transistors into a given area is that power usage also goes down because you need to use less electrical current to switch those transistors on and off. Taking any given silicon chip and making it on a newer, more efficient manufacturing process is commonly called die shrink, because you're making a functionally equivalent silicon die that uses less equivalent space. For computer processors and GPUs, those power savings are usually spent by adding transistors, either to improve performance or add new capabilities. That is why processors from 2020 can perform dramatically better than ones from 2010 and consume about the same amount of power. But the game consoles are meant to be static, stable targets for game developers to aim at, so that their internal testing of a game and how it runs is always indicative of how the game will run on everyone else's consoles. That's a very good point. So when you shrink the chips in a console, the benefit comes almost exclusively in the form of smaller physical chips that draw less power and put out less heat. You're also potentially getting more chips out of a single wafer of silicon, which theoretically can lower the price per chip if the manufacturing process itself doesn't cost a ton more money. Yeah. And it's important to note that still, like, even though the consoles aren't PCs, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, they all still make the chips for the game consoles. PlayStation might be the exception. The Switch has used Nvidia chips in the past, and I think the new one also is Nvidia. I want to say PlayStation uses AMD, but I think that was PlayStation 4, because I think the PlayStation 5 is custom. AMD GPU. Because this guy right here, Mark Cerny, he always does a technical presentation. Technical presentation on the architecture of the PlayStation. Oh, here he goes. CPU is an AMD Zen 2, so it is AMD. And he does, it's very in depth, but he's very good at making the complicated things understandable. So as long as you kind of understand how a computer works, like, you could kind of parse what he's saying. Highly recommend watching it. I can just find it real quick. Very interesting. I've actually learned a lot from watching them. Yeah, this is not it, actually. It was older. Much older. But anyways, it was like something like this. Not this one, but yeah. Mark Cerny, PlayStation 5 architecture. One interesting thing though is that, and I kind of was reading here, but one of the benefits of like a console like this is that when you're building a integrated like computing system, as in you're making you're assembling like everything of the computer, and could theoretically manufacture every part of the computer, you could get some benefits like being able to transfer things much quicker, because you only have to use like one protocol, or like use one system. You don't have to potentially theorize about like someone putting in like using like a motherboard that could use like different kinds of brands of all kinds of different stuff. When you could kind of have all that integrated yourself, you could do much more like powerful computing strategies, which is kind of what the PS5 did. And I think the PS5 even like broke a record for like how fast they could transfer data between like the CPU or something and like the solid state drives or some shit. See if I can find it. I'm not. Okay, anyways, we're on super side tangent. Yeah, okay, yeah, chip shrinking, all that kind of stuff. PlayStation 5 is powerful. Game consoles have been benefited massively from those die shrinks, and those benefits were passed down to buyers in the form of streamlined hardware and lower cost. These changes are particularly pronounced once you get to the 3D home console era in the late 90s and early 2000s, when dramatic redesigns like the original PlayStation and PS2 Slim were possible within just a few years of the original console launch. That is actually a good point. Like, to think that the PS2 looked like this chonky ass thing, and then we got this, like, it is crazy. Also, this is by far the best designed console. PlayStation Slim. Changed my mind. It's so sleek. It looks so good. PS2 is so good. Bro, the silver one. Oh, look here, we got the Chips. Still both models in my closet. Dang. I have a slim one, just like this, but no fat boy. Network adapter. I was playing Battlefield 2 online on a PlayStation 2. You busted out a few months ago and spent us some games? Dang. I've not put mine out. I played emulators on Steam Deck, but it did. You had to have my dad set it up, but like yeah, because you had to get the adapter thing. I don't know at the time how like it was set up, but I was fucking playing Battlefield Online. Okay. Yeah, there's no Wi-Fi, so you had to like wire it. That was like the biggest thing. You had to have Ethernet. Played Ratchet and Clank online. Bro, fuck yeah, bro. Ratchet and Clank. Like Cooper. Yeah. Good old days. Back in the day. Okay, consider the PlayStation 2. Not all of the PS2 Slim's streamlining came from chip improvements. It also shed a full-size 3.5-inch hard drive bay and a little-used IEEE 1394 port initially required an external power brick, but shrinking and consolidating the console's CPU and GPU, memory, and other components took the console from original design in 2000 to the Slim in 2004. To an even lighter and lower power version of the Slim that returned to use an internal power supply without increasing the size of the console at all. Wow. Over that time span, the console's price dropped frequently and significantly from $299 at launch to just $129 by 2006. The price was lowered again to $99 in 2009. Deep into the PS3 era. The fact that they still sold a $99 PlayStation 2 is crazy. I didn't even realize that after the PS3 came out. Yeah, I feel like I fully switched to I got a PS3, but I got it a little later. But I was just a PC. Like I literally was like full PC by then already. Like I was playing like Age of Empires and shit. Age of Empires 3 specifically. Tropico. Minecraft. I had a gateway laptop. I had a gateway laptop that I could only play Minecraft with if I hooked up the laptop to my TV via a VGA cable. I don't know why, but I couldn't play it on my actual computer. I had to hook up to a monitor, and then it worked. And then I kind of moved on to more console because mainly like my friend group at the time. That's kind of just like what it was. Like Call of Duty was becoming like much bigger, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna swap the COD, played that Battlefield on the console. Minecraft in between. That's crazy to still buy a PlayStation 2 in 2009. Or look at Microsoft's Xbox 360. Also, one thing as a kid too, the fact that Xbox had Xbox Gold, like, and I just didn't have a fucking income and my parents didn't want to pay for it. It's like, all right, I guess I'm getting a PlayStation. Do you still have to pay for that on Xbox? To like a subscription to play online? It's kind of crazy to think about. Okay, or look at Microsoft's Xbox 360. Its external design didn't change as much over the years. The mid-generation Slim refresh was actually only a little smaller than the original, but between late 2005 and early 2010, the CPU, GPU, and the GPU's high-speed EDRAM memory chip went from being built on a 90 nanometer processor to 80 nanometer to 65. Bro. And finally to a single 45 nanometer chip that combined the CPU and GPU into one. For reference, we're around 2 to 3 nanometer right now. Like, that's the high end chip. Now is like 2 to 3 nanometer. We've come down quite a bit. Over that time, the system's power supply fell from 203 watts to 133 watts, which this is definitely a big benefit of the consoles. Like that, using this much power is like, this is just how much like the CPU like on my computer takes. Most CPUs on computers take. And this is how much the entire system took, you know, like that's impressive. And the base price fell from $300 to $200. And I know that like you could do a lot more with like a PC and like they're probably more powerful, blah blah blah. But yeah, like this is still impressive. The mid-generation 65 nanometer refresh was also substantially fixed the early console's endemic red ring of death issue, which is caused in part because by the heat of that older, larger chips generated. Every friend I've that had an Xbox got the red ring of death, and like half of them we were able to fix by like watching YouTube videos at the time. Like the red ring, this is such a interesting like cultural touchstone of like the console. Yeah, like it's funny. As you can see when comparing these various consoles, external and internal design revisions, shrinking the chips had a cascade of other beneficial and cost-lowering effects. Smaller power supplies, smaller enclosures that use less metal, excuse me, and plastic, smaller heat sinks and cooling assemblies, and smaller and less complicated motherboard designs. Yeah. This also, like, this picture makes the Fat Boy look good, but like, bro, this thing is like ugly as fuck. Let's be real. Like, just a black chunk of plastic. Like, it looks really good in the slimmed down version, but like, this thing is so bad. Especially, I think, considered the Xbox at the time. Like, it's actually. I wonder if someone's done like a more design analysis. The more like Western design, so-called Xbox. It definitely looks better than the Xbox 360, though. I'll say that, actually. Eh. Each have their pros and cons. Need to do a tier list of console designs. A slowdown of that progression was already evident when we hit the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch generation. But technological improvements and pricing reductions still followed familiar patterns. Both the mid-generation PS4, Slim, and Xbox One S used a 16 nanometer processor instead of the original console's 28 nanometer version, and each also had its price cut by $100 over its lifetime, comparing the Connectless Xbox One variant and excluding the digital-only $250 Xbox One. Oh, digital only meaning there's no disc. I didn't really get disc drive. I didn't really get what that meant previously. I was like, what, you just like buy software that's like Xbox? The Switch's single die shrink from 20 nanometer to 16 nanometer didn't come with a price cut, but it did improve battery life and help enable the cheaper Switch Lite version. All right. Sony and Microsoft have marginally tweaked the hardware inside the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles since launching them, but as die shrinks have become rarer and more expensive to pull off, the benefits have become a whole lot less noticeable. Until recently, you could at least tell yourself that keeping the prices of these consoles stable during a 40-year inflation high could count as price cuts of sorts. Fair. But now that costs are going up, even that cold comfort is no longer available. The same story that we've seen in new PC CPUs and GPUs in recent years. 2. In the mid-2010s, a new GPU generation meant the same or better performance at lower prices than previous generation cards. This decade, you mostly need to either pay more to get more, or you have to settle for minor improvements at similar prices. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's like a systemic problem though, like it's just more capitalism. Like, let's be real, like I don't really know if there's anything else like more. It's like yeah. AMD has had to keep its nearly decade-old AM4 motherboard and CPU platform in circulation for years after technically replacing it because socket AM5 boards and chips still aren't quite cheap enough to address the budget to mid-range PC market. And that's capitalism right there. Like, the market is deciding that they're too expensive. Like, you know, if someone wants a budget thing, it's like they're gonna get this, and so if they keep selling it, then they're probably gonna keep offering it because the new things are too expensive. Like, this is where it's like that pricing out gamers. Like, I guess this is PC gamers, but bro, if a fucking console now costs like $600, like, you might as well just build a PC. Let's be real. At least if you're Xbox, play all the Xbox games on Windows. We could still see prices come down gradually for all this tech coming in the coming years if trade deals are struck and cutting-edge manufacturing processes get cheaper. Yeah, I don't know if the problem is demand is too high. And so it might get cheaper, but because demand is very high, you know, then they're just going to charge more. I'm not holding my breath, but the possibility still exists. Either way, though, it's clear that we can no longer assume by default that the patterns and precedents of the last 40 years will hold up. Last week I put in a pre-order on Nintendo Switch 2. It's the first brand new console I've ever bought on the first day it was available. I figure the technology won't get much better, and the price won't get any lower in the next couple of years, and might even go up. There used to be a lot of benefits to waiting for this kind of thing, not anymore. Yep, this is a good point though, like, prices going up, like, yeah, especially in America. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. Alright, so we've kind of seen the software. So we saw game prices are going up, console prices are going up, and now there's other problems. Cheaters. And I do like want this to paint a picture of, like, it is kind of like hard to make games, especially online games. Like, there is a lot of work into it behind the scenes that sometimes do justify, like, some of the, like, them spending a lot of money, because, like, it's like, if you want a good experience in your online game, you know, like, then there has to be some money the devs, like, have to get. And this is kind of like even what I talked about when talking about putting ads in video games. It's like, okay, like, if you play a game that's free and you don't want to pay the dev money, then, like, it's like, okay, like, maybe ads that you can't even tell that are an ad in a game are, like, fine to give the developer of the game you like playing a roof over their head and food. So anyways, yeah, so catching cheaters is hard, and I think now, especially with AI and better technology to write code that could be used maliciously, it's going to be harder and harder, and in turn cost more and more money to do. Also, just one call out. This is crazy. I recommend reading this. It's very interesting. It's an interesting read. Yeah. Okay, let's look at Riot Games. And how they catch cheaters. Hackers, they said. For as long as there have been video games, there have been people willing to find ways to cheat. Hobbyists have long dedicated themselves to finding vulnerabilities in games, often with the goal of developing cheats that they could share or sell. But ever since online competitive gaming became a legitimate profession, that hobby hacking has morphed into an entire industry that aims to sell unfair advantage to those willing to pay. Okay, let's actually just think about the market for selling game cheats. Like, if we think about like the type of person who would want to get it to buy a cheat, it's like, yeah, they have some motivation, some sort of like reason why they likely would be drawn to buying these cheats. Likely to look good. Like the first order effect would be to be good at the video game, but like, there's likely a second like order effect of like the main reason why they actually want to do that. It could be a esports pro who wants to be good at the game so that they can in turn, like, I don't know, get notoriety as being a good esports player, win prize money, get on better teams to make more money, I guess, or to like progress their career. It could be a streamer who maybe is dog shit at the game, but they want to look cool and good in front of like their audience, so maybe they get, I don't know, fucking more subscribers, or people think they're cooler, which in turn grows their audience. I don't know. It could just be the run-of-the-mill person who just thinks it's fun, like legit, like they think it's fun. I don't know, they get an adrenaline rush from cheating in a game because it's like kind of illegal or something, what else? It could be to farm resources, because they have some sort of other value outside of the game, i.e. you could trade for money, like RuneScape gold, CSGO skins. Although I don't know how you farm CSGO skins. Like that's like hacking accounts. But I guess like gold in like MMOs, which Riot is theoretically, is developing an MMO, so they'll need to met that. Yeah, anyway, so I guess there could be several reasons why someone would want to cheat. I mean, to me, I guess it says a lot about your character if you're like cheating in a game when it's like the entire point of the video game is to like have fun and enjoy yourself. I say that, I'm just like laughing saying that because it's like paying to the average league player, fucking like depressed, hates their life, boots up the game still, like, like, but it's like people play games to have fun. So it's like when someone wants like ruins their fun because like they're not having like enough fun or some bullshit, like it just, I don't know, it says a lot about the person. So anyways, okay, we analyze the market, the cheating games market. Developing and selling game cheats can be lucrative business, and video game developers have in recent years had to beef up their anti-cheat teams, whose mission is to ban cheaters, neutralize the software they use, as well as go after the cheat developers. It is because a lot of times you can get in legal trouble because you're breaking terms of service, which you've agreed to, likely, if you're playing the game. How willingly you've agreed to those, like that... That's a different argument. Signing your life away. Like, you didn't read the 632-page terms of service? But, like, you could be sued and even, like, go to jail. like fraud. That's like, you know, I think you could get like fraud. There's been plenty of game cheating scandals. Let's look at what's the worst one. Worse, hit caps lock. Worst video game cheating. Dude. Was developer of popular Destiny 2 and a Romanian cheater. Bungie won significant legal battle, securing a $12 million judgment against the individual creating and distributing cheat software, provided unfair advantages. Jeez. Epic Games and 14-year-old Delaware teen. Oh, this is the one I remember. Epic Games sued the minor for using and distributing cheat codes in Fortnite, alleging violations against game service and federal copyright law. Got it. Okay, so this is what the law was. Copyright, not fraud. The lawsuit sparked controversy, public debate, particularly due to the age of the defendant and the aggressive legal tactics employed by the company. Fuck no, bro. 14-year-old or 42-year-old? Does it really matter to the company? Because they're like, you know, to the whatever they're doing, it's like it's still the same, you know, it's like the same outcome on the video game. I guess that logic is a little that's not the best logic, but yeah, this case underscores length of which game developers are willing to go to combat cheating even when it involves minors. But like, bro, no, just because some fucking like script kiddie's like fucking with your game, it's like, it's not like you just be like, it's just a 14-year-old, like we'll just let him go. It's like, no, they're still ruining the experience of everyone else. Okay, more companies are taking somewhat controversial step of deploying anti-cheat systems that run at the kernel level, meaning they have the highest privileges in the operating system and can potentially monitor everything that happens on the machine the game is run on. Yeah, easy anti-cheat. We've actually looked at on stream Activision. They use some sort of like AI like anti-cheat system where they like analyze like game game movements and shit. Like theirs is kind of advanced. But again, there was controversy because when it's at kernel level, like it's literally like the kernel is like it's kind of like embedded inside your like computer in a way. Like if your operating system is up here, your kernel is kind of a few layers down in a way. I don't know specifically, I can't remember, but it's like a few layers down, and so it could see all the stuff that's going on up here, like all the bits of data kind of passes through this to get to you. So like important stuff that's not just the game goes through this anti-cheat that they could theoretically mess with or like kind of harvest or analyze or, you know, pass on to some other system that could break your privacy, or some other, ironically, like type of antivirus malware type, which this is like arguably it is exactly what a virus is, a type of virus is, just using it for good, depending on how you look at it. And so there you know, it's a solution, but you definitely have to sacrifice some things to like get this solution, i.e. potentially your privacy or allowing something to kind of be at a very low level on your computer, which is just dangerous sometimes. That's kind of what the CrowdStrike, that instance where like every Windows computer, like commercial Windows computer, like blue screened at like airports and shit, because of CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity company. That was because their like antivirus, their like monitoring system is kernel level, and so it fucked with the actual operating system themselves, and that's why they needed hard resets, the like physical resets of the computers, is because it's, you know, so low level that like that's just the way to fix it. So and I guess that's kind of a danger of having things at kernel level, especially for a game when it's just like for fun. It is kind of weird that like how deep they have to go to catch these cheaters, which I guess we're gonna look into. Yeah, different than the kernel, meaning they have the highest privileges and operating system and can potentially monitor everything that happens on the machine a game is run on. One of the most prominent kernel level anti-cheat systems is Vanguard, developed by Riot Games, which makes popular titles such as multiplayer online battle arena, MOBA, game League of Legends, and online first-person shooter Valorant. Essentially, Vanguard forces cheats to be visible, said Philip Koskinis, the director of head of anti-cheat at Riot, who described himself as anti-cheat artisan. Okay, that's funny. Who was put on this earth for the one single purpose of banning cheaters from online games. Like, shit, bro. He's like that is my life's mission. Thanks to Vanguard and the anti-cheat team led by Koskinis, Riot bans thousands of cheaters on Valorant every day, according to a chart shared with TechCrunch. So it says cheaters banned per day on the left. Cut off a little on screen. And then it says botters banned per day. So it's dual access. Oh, dual access but unsynchronized. Literally the worst fucking data viz problem. We had a rule at my company. No unsynchronized axes. Dang. Man, look at the manual though. Like, they're doing so many manual bans. That's crazy. Wow. Or manual's probably extra. I don't fucking know how to read this chart. I like to talk about coming from DataViz, and I'm like, I don't know how to read this chart. I wonder what tampering is. Hitchhiking? Like, behavior. That's like shit talker. Riot's efforts seem to be working. As of early 2025, the percentage of Valorant ranked games, meaning competitive matches that cheater is now less than 1% globally. That seems pretty good. Like, if you have a less than 1% chance to encounter a cheater, like that seems like good stat. In an interview with TechCrunch, Koskinis detailed the various strategies that anti-cheat team at Riot uses to fight cheaters and cheat developers, leveraging the security features in the Windows operating system, fingerprinting cheaters' hardware to stop them from reoffending. That's crazy. It can even do that? What the fuck? Infiltrating cheat communities, and playing psychological games in an effort to discredit cheaters. Holy shit, bro. They're doing Riot Games as doing fucking psyops against cheaters to get them to stop. Jesus. We can just make them look like fools. This is abstracting this out and also like thinking about it in a bit of a hyperbolic way. This is kind of like corporate war in a way. You know, like corporations are defending their IP from the enemy, which is like cheaters. It's like, you know, they're just not shooting guns, but like cyber war. Much of Koskinis and his team's efforts stem from Vanguard having the deepest level of access to a gamer's computer. To weed out cheaters, Vanguard takes advantage of some security features already built into Windows. First, Koskinis explained that anti-cheat software almost universally enforces some of Windows' most important security features, such as Trusted Platform Module, a hardware-based security component, and Secure Boot. These two technologies check if a computer has been modified or tampered with, such as by malware or cheat, because I think a cheat is arguably, like a computer could consider that as malware or virus, because I think of how it sits kind of like lower level, or how it kind of like takes over some of the operating systems, and prevents it from booting if so. Then, it prevents the game from booting. Crazy. Actually, a similar story to that. For Black Ops 4, when Black Ops 4 came out, it was kind of one of the first larger PC launches, like Call of Duty PC launches. And I was curious where the servers were located, so I downloaded a program called Wireshark, which allows you to see network traffic, like entering and leaving your computer, because I wanted to see the IP that was pinging Call of Duty servers, which I could then look up on an IP locating service and get at least a general location. I just wanted to like region wise, a general location of to where the actual servers are. The problem is I couldn't boot up Black Ops 4 when Wireshark was running. Mind you, Wireshark is a widely used networking tool that is not used necessarily for like nefarious reasons. It's a legitimate like tool that network engineers and everyone uses to like analyze things. It's just logging. And also, like, if you're just looking at things that's happening on your computer, like, how's that? To me, that seems like, fine. Anyways, you couldn't boot up Black Ops 4 when Wireshark was running, or when you boot up Black Ops 4 and then started Wireshark, the game would immediately close. And I actually posted on the subreddit, Black Ops 4 subreddit, I was like, is anyone else doing this? And someone else has responded. A few other people responded, and I found other threads of people saying similar things, not with just Wireshark, but other software. And so this is kind of an example of what they're talking about, and also example of how they could potentially overstep, in my opinion, and maybe the downsides of anti-cheats being very low level. So, anyways, Then Vanguard checks that all computer hardware's drivers, which allow the operating system to communicate with the hardware, are up to date to identify additional hardware that can enable cheating. Finally, Vanguard prevents cheats from loading and executing code in the kernel's memory. Basically, all the security features that Microsoft and hardware manufacturers have leveraged to protect operating systems we use or enforce. Kuskin told TechCrunch, we have to have a playground where we can play. We have to enforce a certain level of security. This is I'm pretty sure this is also why when you sometimes switch hardware, Microsoft makes you buy a new license, because they're like, oh, your computer's changed too much, and so it's like we can't really like verify that the whatever bullshit, like them wanting more money essentially. And so they make you buy a new Windows license key because your computer changed too much. It's like, oh, okay guys, come on. But fighting cheaters is not about technology, it is also about understanding the cheaters themselves and how they operate. Kuskin's team has a reconnaissance arm, he said, whose primary responsibility is to obtain and catalog threats, which sometimes involve acquiring cheats. Bro, like, see, like, this is the kind of job I want. I want, like, a fucking, like... That'd be cool. Like, you're like a... You're a spy, you're a corporate spy who's trying to infiltrate the enemy, collecting intel on the enemy. The team obtains cheats in part by using sock puppet identities that have infiltrated cheater and cheat developer communities for years, akin to undercover operations. Bro, okay, they're doing fucking psyops, they're doing undercover operations, they have spies, like infiltrating the enemy, like what the fuck? Like, bro, they should just hire like ex-military like intelligence, or like ex-NSA or CIA. Let's be real. They're literally doing the same thing, just like, within their video game market. Instead of national security, it's riots, it's riots, national security. The United States is riots. We've gone as far as giving anti-cheat information to establish credibility. Like, they have narcs. That's where like, they're fucking narcs. will masquerade as though it was something we reverse engineered and explain how anti-cheat techniques work to demonstrate that we know stuff, said Koskinis, and then leverage our way into something in development and then sit there until it launches, allow it to acquire users, and then ban everybody. That's crazy. I wonder if they're going to talk about like how they ban, because I know that how they ban and the timing of bans is also important, because if you start to like auto ban based on certain triggers, they could reverse engineer to figure out what triggers the auto bans to then not do that, and that in itself could be bad. And so I know with like RuneScape, they ban in waves for that fact, so people can't reverse engineer like how or like what triggers like a ban. Some cheat developers try to stay undetected by only selling to a few customers, essentially marketing their product as high-end or premium cheats, as Koskinis tells them. These premium cheats can cost thousands of dollars and are sold only a handful of customers, said Koskinis. Cheat makers use this strategy to reduce risk of selling to a Riot undercover employee, but also to customers who will be more careful about blatant cheating and exposing the cheat. These developers are essentially selling the reputation of being undetected. It's just so hard to like. I guess they're like, you're like cheaters and hackers, so like integrity isn't the best. But like, how could you even say that? I guess it's like, oh, like our players get banned less than 5% of the time compared to competitors. Just like open market, just marketing. One of Riot's anti-cheat team's strongest weapons, he said, is discrediting cheat developers publicly by, for example, banning all their players or leaking screenshots showing they are inside their Discord, Discord channels. Oh, wait. Leaking screenshots showing they're inside their Discord channels? What does that even mean? Reporting in from Manual Ban HQ, where we can now manually check thousands of accounts per minute for $400 DMA cheats. Wait, I don't get what's going on. I don't get it. Got banned today? Anyone else or just me? User? I don't get. It's the FW. Everyone I know is on div, firmware, and span. Okay, so these are like cheaters talking about like different cheat software. Did a DMA ban? What is DMA ban? Bandwave. Oh, is that manual? I was using T1 FW. Oh, FW's firmware. But all my accounts are banned. Got manual today, pretty sure. Firmware bandwave. I see. I don't really get this tweet. You can manually check thousands of accounts per minute. Alright, let's keep reading. I don't know. We can just make them look like fools, he said. Koskinis and his team also have to be careful not to come down too hard. By letting a little cheating happen within reason, Riot can slow down gamers from getting better cheats. If we hit every player every time, they'll just change cheats until they find one that isn't detected. Yep, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. To keep cheating dumb, we ban slower, he added. To stop repeat offenders, Vanguard can fingerprint the hardware that a cheater uses, effectively uniquely identifying their device to make it harder for that player to obtain a new cheat and continue cheating. I see. I thought this was them like putting something like in the kernel of your like operating system so that then if they boot up the game again that they like wouldn't be able to because of the thing. But like that's It seems like it's more so they're somehow like uniquely creating your fingerprint, storing it in a database, and then potentially once they try and boot up the game, then they're just like not allowed to like play it like that, which is that's better sounding. It's in a more psychological strategy. Koskinis and his colleagues also troll cheaters publicly by calling them, among other things, a brainless pathogen who have an inability to get good at this video game. Okay, guys, like, relax. Fuck. Oh, this is a cheat.
One enemy.
I was like 50 FPS, bro. Like, what? Oh, so is this the cheat or is? Oh, Scott cheat. Huh. Crazy. The cheater's toolbox. Thanks to all these techniques and strategies, most cheaters can now be roughly divided into two categories. The first, representing the majority of cheaters, is made up by those who are rage cheating. Okay, so this is like the market of cheating, which I was kind of like exploring earlier. Trying to see who would want to buy cheats. So rage cheating, who are by using cheap tools that are easy to detect. Riot employees sarcastically call these cheats download a ban, according to Koskinis. That's funny. All that cheaters you think about, they're kind of young, he said. A lot of them haven't grown up yet. The way they engage with games is by cheating, and a lot of that behavior is like the power you feel when you do it. Yeah. I don't know. They're going to come back. They're going to get banned, and they're just going to get that every weekend for the next 2 to 3 years. And then eventually they'll hit puberty, and that'll hopefully do it. What the fuck, bro? He's like literally typed them out. He knows their timeline. The second category comprises of the few who use premium cheats that are harder to detect. These tools are known as external cheats, Koskinis explains, because they depend on using actual hardware, not just software. Wow. Psychoanalysis of video game cheater, right? Literally. I mean, fucking Riot's doing psyops already to the cheaters. Like, they literally have a full spy operation. They have psyop, they have psychological, they have intel collecting, they have actual undercover narcs that go in. Like, they literally have a fucking full-on spy operation. Like, Koskinis could retire and work for the CIA, no problem. Fit right in. Yeah, the hardware though. Using a hardware card, cheaters can read and write game memory without installing. I've actually never heard of this. That's crazy. Like, putting a separate card into your piece. Like, what the fuck is the point? Like, this is the kind of cheats that I imagine like some streamer trying to do to like look good. Or like a pro player. One type of external cheat relies on direct memory access. Oh, that's what DMA stands for. DMA cheats require players to use specialized hardware, think high-speed PCIe Express cards, that infiltrate all of Valorant's memory to a separate computer that can scrutinize the game on dedicated hardware outside of the purview of Vanguard. Bro, that is so much work. Like, just fucking learn the game. Just get good. By doing this, a cheater's separate computer can be used to identify other players, in-game objects like walls, ammunition, and weapons, and identify precisely where players and items are in the map. This could also include objects that are not visible to gamers. Then, using firmware installed on the cards, the cheat creates a radar on a second screen that they can look at to spot rivals, even if they are hidden, to gain an unfair advantage. That's crazy. Because I guess now how they're doing this is they're looking, you know, like when you like load up a game, let's say like Valorant, an online, like a game, a bunch of shit gets loaded into your RAM, into memory, and it's all just stored in like addresses. And if you know where to look, if you know what address to look at for certain items, like a game player, you could kind of use that to create things around it, like, you know, a radar to see where they are on the map. Vanguard, that writes anti-cheat, likely, you know, knows when you're trying to snoop inside the memory and RAM and like try and find addresses, and so they, you know, could ban you. But if it's done on if it's like, you know, in exfilling RAM, you know, memory addresses and stuff to a separate computer or a card where they can't, then it's just like, yeah, it's fair game. Theoretically, but that's crazy. That's crazy. A more advanced version of this type of cheat, according to Koskinis, relies on HDMI fusers, which overlay what's read by separate computer back on the cheater's main screen. HDMI fusers, which overlays what's read by the separate computer back onto the cheater's main screen. What the fuck? This way, the cheater doesn't have to look between computer displays to see where their opponents are, letting them focus on display they're playing with the game. HDMI fuser? I've never even heard of this in general. Whoops. Oh, here we go. DMH. I don't even want to click on it. Oh, you can't see. The second thing that comes up is a DMI cheats. I don't want to click on this because I don't want to be fucking put on some game cheat list. Oh shit, I don't want to show my Amazon either. This thing is $300. It literally sells, it's literally specifically sold for cheating. Immortal HDMI fuser synthesizer, DMA fuser, display combiner. That's crazy. These techniques allow cheaters to see through walls, known as wall hacks, and grant what is refused as extrasensory perception, essentially superpowers within the game. Yeah, it's like heartbeat sensor, bro. I think we detect the majority of it today, but it's kind of iterative, said Koskinis. Then there are screen reader cheats, where a computer's HDMI output is sent to a second computer that detects and classifies what is on the game's display, such as the head of an opponent player. The second computer then sends back an instruction to an Arduino mini computer for controlling robotics, for example, when they which is connected to the cheater's mouse and lets the player automatically aim at other players. A type of cheat known as aimbot. As Koskinis put it, basically the mouse, for all intents and purposes, is being governed by a machine. Bro, this is some fucking high-tech aimbots, bro. Like, I swear, like, most aimbots, there's no way, like, most aimbots require some, like, not only an HDMI output, but also some special HDMI output, but also to, like, an Arduino computer, like, programmed to do this shit. Like, what the fuck? No way most cheaters are like doing shit like that. I guess it's like the download a band type of cheater. Would be like the more aimbot I'm thinking of. If the cheat performs well, it can be hard to detect, but Koskinis said that in the long run, the cheater doesn't look like a human player because of how accurate they're aiming and shooting at their rivals. Yeah, and I think this kind of goes back to the Activision style, like, AI anti-cheat, where they're more so analyzing player behaviors, and you could just tell based off of that. You have to humanize the cheat to a degree where the advantage is imperceptible from what a human can do, said Koskinis. And once you're there, you're not really cheating enough to make it worth it for most users. Yeah. Even then, this technique is popular, Koskinis concedes. The downside is that it requires a potentially expensive second PC with a fast graphics processor to quickly classify what's happening on the screen to send instructions back. Yeah, that this seems so complicated.
Bot. Before artificial intelligence became popular, video game cheats were much easier to spot and block, but everything changed when cheaters discovered how to use AI to their advantage. Most AI-based cheats work similarly. They can scan the screen for specific visuals, then automatically move the mouse to the target. However, AI cheats are evolving, and some have already infiltrated the gaming world, starting with aimbots. In most games where aimbots are used, the environments exist in
and this comes into the dual use of technology, but we're using AI to also catch cheaters, so it's like, yeah. The future of cheating. Koskinis says he often worries about the use of AI for screen classification to learn what human inputs look like and how to reproduce them. Yeah, because think about AI, think about ChatGPT, and how when you type something in, all it's doing is predicting what, based off of what you gave it, what best to respond. And it needs every word before it to kind of predict what comes next. But if you think about that for one, that's actually just how game networking kind of works, where it is trying to actually predict where you're going. But if we think about player behavior in games the same way, you could collect data on how players play the game and then use that to create a cheat to make it very similar to the styles that you play a game, but just better. And you could even potentially program it to incrementally improve as you either get more data or you progress in ranks to not trip cheats, Now this is you need an insane computer to do that, even more than what we're talking about up here. You definitely need at least 2 PCs. One to just be doing the predicting, and then one to be playing the game probably. But it's literally exactly how Nvidia is also in creating frames in between games. Is they're taking the previous frame, then just predicting what should come next based off of the previous frame. It's the same thing that hackers could do for cheats. They could create bots in a way that predict what best they should do in a very good way, high rank way, and then just make bots and cheats out of doing something like that. Now, again, the inverse is also true, but yeah, I guess it's always a game of cat and mouse with security. Unfortunately, you always have to be keeping up with the latest technology for this reason. That's already here, he said, especially in Valorant with those bright outlines. You could almost do it with just an algorithm. You just have to actually discreetly say if the percentage of this box is enough purple, press the fire key, for example. Characters in Valorant have a distinct and vivid color schemes. Despite the security and privacy risks associated with anti-cheat technology, having kernel level access, yes, this is what I talked about earlier, there's lots of privacy risks. Recently, VR chat, I say recently, this is probably a year ago, they introduced anti-cheat, and the community did not like that for many reasons, but one of them being a privacy reason is just now it's you just have some other third-party software embedded, that you kind of have to trust to play the game now, embedded into your computer. Not cool. I think it was mainly a lot of people use third-party software and stuff that could be considered hacks on VR chat to get like all kinds of like, you know, their avatars and shit to be cool, or like to use like crazy remotes with like for like motion tracking and shit, and that it canceled that, but it's similar. Riot has no plans to move away from this approach for its anti-cheat engine, at least for Valorant. Otherwise, it would make it too easy for cheaters to use kernel exploits, according to Koskinis. In general, Koskinis is trying to be more transparent about Riot's anti-cheat efforts, including publishing several blog posts on how the company goes after cheaters, as well as talking to journalists. The idea, he said, is that because Riot has the most invasive anti-cheat by asking people to have the service running at all times, players deserve to know how the company is using that privilege. I actually love that. I think that's a great trade-off, especially from like a kind of AAA, like big games company. And considering that when they do share information, it could potentially be used against them because they could try and reverse, you know, cheaters, hackers could reverse engineer how it works. But I think this is that kind of the least they could do. And so I think this is cool. That's cool. The best thing I feel we can do is asking for that level of access. Being around like that is being transparent about the opacity as we can. Says Koskinis, we're not telling you what's under the hood, but we'll tell you almost anything else, he said. Cool. This was an interesting read-up. One of the more interesting I've read in a while. Learned a lot. I didn't know a lot about how cheats work and stuff. So, yeah, this is cool. Would recommend. Cool. Okay, those are the three main stories I have. I had a Tim Sweeney on CNBC talk about his win. So let's watch this and then
Let's get over to CNBC.
Let's watch this and then we'll kind of cover some other industry news, and then I'll watch some game trailers, and then we'll end there.
Steve Kovac, who's joined by the CEO of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney.
Tim, my
Hey,
boy.
thanks, Kelly, and Tim Sweeney. Thank
Free
you so
Fortnite.
much for joining us just a couple days after this court ruling here that you initiated, actually. And I wanted to get your thoughts and reactions on it, because we're now here with a court order for Apple to follow these rules. We're already seeing that in effect.
A little bit of context, I guess. Apple got a wrist slap, almost a hand chopped off, but potentially a hand chopped off, for not following a court order to allow developers to create a workaround in the app, create a workaround for payments in the App Store, to instead process them online instead of through the App Store, which would in turn go around Apple's 30% tax that they charge for just doing business on the iPhone and within the App Store. And a judge pretty much scolded them and recommended criminal contempt of court, criminal charges for one of their VPs for lying on the stand in court, and also just for how they handled it. And the judge was furious, like really like roasted them. We looked at a majority of them on last Thursday, I believe, or Wednesday. So you could take it I had a pretty much entire stream dedicated to that if you want to take a look. But it was a huge win for Epic Games and developers on iOS, because now you could charge your subscriptions and not have Apple take a 30% fee. And Fortnite, or Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, is offering developers 0% cut of the payment if you want to under $1 million if you want to offer your app on the Epic Games store on iPhone, where applicable, because I think it's only in certain regions or something still. And they only charge 12% after that, which is significantly less than Apple's 30%. Spotify already updated their app. It's already updated that you can now subscribe online instead of through the App Store, which now nets them 30% more margin when they when someone subscribes online instead of through the App Store. So, you know, like, I don't know, for developers, it's a big win. And I think just for marketplaces, especially walled gardens like Apple, who have not treated developers well in the past, it's a big win, and it's a good step forward into having more like open ecosystems, I guess. So yeah, and I just love that it's Fortnite. It's Epic Games that is leading this, and it's like, you know, like, yeah, I think it's funny and cool.
We're already seeing, like Kelly said, Spotify take advantage of this new payment system they can take advantage of. But on top of that, potential criminal charges against Apple and one of its executives, who the judge says lied under oath about.
And that's what I'm saying, when they almost got a hand chopped off. This is the hand being chopped off. The judge scolding them and forcing them to comply is a slap on the wrist.
This case. And I just wanted to ask you, Tim, if when you started this whole lawsuit several years ago, was this the end game that you sort of envisioned?
Well, I'd always hoped that Apple would, in my view, come to their senses more quickly and actually find a path to change the rules themselves rather than waiting for a court to tell them. But Apple chose to fight it out. And you know, I've always firmly believed in the righteousness of opening up all of these platforms, iOS and Android, to competition in payments, competition in digital stores, and competition so that the services Apple offers can be competed with by any other developer building a better service.
Yeah, I think the keyword here is competition. Apple is restricting competition, which that is free market, baby. It's illegal. Can't do shit like that. And that's, you know, that's generally, at least my opinion, that's where the government should step in to ensure that we have a fair market, in that companies, i.e. the most valuable company in the world, arguably Apple, isn't doing things to step on the little guy. It's a free market. Just because you have money and power doesn't mean you can just do whatever the fuck you want. And that's what the government's job should be. Now, current government is, you know, that's, yeah. Current government is arguably going the opposite way, but at least with their antitrust enforcement with big tech, they seem to still be, they have their other reasons, but they're still going after them. But just because Apple is gonna, you know, like Tim Cook wants to make some more money, it doesn't mean that you could just do illegal shit. You can't, you know, it's like, thank goodness we have someone like Tim Sweeney who's willing to burn money. Granted, like it benefits him. It's not necessarily burning, but burn money to, like, actually, you know, get the government to enforce the rules, you know? Judge says Tim Cook chose poorly on pushing ahead with commission on web links, because Tim Cook was the tiebreaker. There was someone, his name was Philip something, or I don't know, there's someone in the company who said that they should not go forth in punishing people for going around the store. And then there's someone who was like, fuck it, it doesn't even matter, I say we go forth with the punishment. Tim Cook chose, you know, the wrong one, the one breaking the law, and the judge just, you know, was like, bro, you chose poorly. Like, why would you clearly chose the one that was illegal or that was restricting competition over the one that was not, and, you know, here you are.
So Tim, you've already said that you're going to resubmit Fortnite.
And it's funny that it's Tim Sweeney at Epic Games and Tim Cook. It's Tim v. Tim.
Next week, I believe, to get back in the App Store. We've already seen Spotify do this. Last night, they submitted their app for alternative payments. It was approved by this morning very quickly. At the same time, you've also said if Apple opens up this policy worldwide, right now they're only doing it in the United States, but if they do it worldwide, you're willing to drop all litigation and cases against them. Have you heard anyone from Apple saying if they're going to open it up outside the U.S.?
We haven't heard any answer back from Apple on that yet, and they've so far only changed their policies in the United States in response to the court ruling. But, you know, Apple faces a real choice. They can either determine their own destiny by changing their policies proactively in the entire world and avoid, you know, a landslide of litigation and legislation that's coming from all kinds of developers and regulators around the world. or they can face the onslaught. And I've always felt it would be much better for everybody, including Apple, and especially Apple, if they would proactively make a change for the better. Give up some short-term revenue in exchange for opening up the platform and entrusting developers to build larger, better businesses and deliver consumers more value.
And that's like sometimes, especially, and I think this is maybe a trend in just capitalism. I guess it's just greed. In this instance, is it 100% is greed, because they broke the law on like margins. Like they just wanted marginally more money on things. Like it's not like they're gonna lose a shit ton of this immediately. Like he's saying, it's definitely short term. I mean, maybe not, but I think there could be long term implications. But it's more so now fucking developers just hate working with Apple. That's what the problem is. So now it's like, as a developer, it's like, why would I want to make an app on the platform that's gonna keep keep fucking shooting me in the foot? It's like, guys, come on. Like, I make you money just how you make me money. Okay, like it's a symbiotic relationship. It's like, why would you want to like deal with that as a developer? It's like, and granted, like Apple or Google isn't any better. Actually, it's actually probably just as bad, but it's still to the point. And like, I guess that's why it's like, everyone, like, just make a fucking website instead of an app. You have to deal with the bullshit. Make it so your website could be installed like an app. I don't know. Yeah, platforms in general, I think, are up for a awakening. And I think it like we covered Airbnb previously, because they now have to show like they have to show full prices on the front page instead of it being like, oh, $100 a night, and then you go and click in and there's like a $350 cleaning fee and this fee and that fee, and then you're like, fuck. It's like these platforms have such control over the competition on them that it's sometimes it's crazy, I guess, what they could get away with. When if it was on any like larger scale or in a different context, it would be crazy to like think of that existing, I guess. Kind of like just like speaking of like the digital divide, it's like physical media versus digital media. It's in the similar sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think the platforms have a lot of power right now, especially as we get more algorithmically driven. The yeah, you're just like you're giving up more control, I guess. And the platforms just in turn get more power, which allow them to do more, things, and it's kind of like a recursive loop in a way. Each time getting bigger and more powerful.
And Tim, this is something developers have been talking about and asking Apple for a number of years now. This is not a new complaint. At the same time, you were experiencing this. You played by the App Store rules early on before your lawsuit, before that moment where you put out that app update that allowed different kind of payments that got you booted out of the App Store. I want you to think a little bit about now what your revenue is going to look like compared to skirting around these App Store fees, compared to what they were in the prior paradigm where Apple was taking a rake off of all the transactions there. What kind of monetization, at least in the United States, are you expecting to see compared to what you were seeing back in the old days?
Well, first of all, I have high confidence now that the court has removed all of Apple's scare screens and friction from their installation, from their payment process. That we'll have a large number of customers choosing to use Epic Games' payment service and preferring to get savings passed along to them by using our payment service than using Apple's far more expensive payment service. So I'm really optimistic about that. But Fortnite was last in the iOS App Store in 2020, and a lot has changed in the world since
5
then.
years.
We've seen a huge increase in mobile gaming, while console and PC gaming have remained constant. And so, looking back at 2020 and the peak of our iOS timeframe, 10% of our revenue and a little bit less than 10% of our playtime was on mobile devices.
I'm so surprised that even 10%. I know you said a little less, but like 10% on mobile. Like, yeah, that seems kind of high. Like, I wonder what the numbers are like for like PUBG. Call of Duty Mobile, is that still a thing? Like, compared to like total player base, like what percent of PUBG is mobile compared to everything like console, PC?
Versus PC and console. Now, if you look at the modern mobile era Roblox, you'll find the majority of playtime on mobile.
What? Wow. I guess that makes sense. I guess, like, thinking about the audience of Roblox, that makes sense, but overall, that's still crazy. That's crazy.
Especially in developing economies and other places around the world, it's an increasingly mobile world. So I think our business is going to shift a lot, and we have massive growth opportunities over time as you know these open rules that the court has now imposed on Apple in the United States. Europe has imposed on Apple through the Digital Markets Act. As these rules spread around the world, it's going to be a boon for us and for all developers who are making apps.
Hell yeah. Sweet. Sweet. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize this. I'm not going to watch this on stream, but this is cool.
Of Epic Games and
I'll just do watch later. Okay. I want to see this. This popped up on my front page on Brady's Brain here. And bro, this shit looks insane. And I couldn't pass it up. Your personal hover bike. And then we'll look at some game stuff. Like, you can literally see like a cloud it's putting behind it. Like, bro, what? Is this real though? Like, is it actually working? What the fuck? Like, this seems more practical than all of the the vertical, like, air taxis and shit. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's probably cheaper. It's more portable. You can just wear a parachute. You don't even have to, like, you know? No, I guess if you're this low, the parachute won't do anything, but... Like, it's so dangerous. That's why it's like, that's why I think it's kind of like crazy and cool too. It's like, who the fuck, this is like a suicide bike. Totally, I'd try it. But like, if you fall, like, broken arm at least. I want to see him take off, like, from the ground. Paraglider, yeah. See if there's any more videos. They have 3 videos. This is, bro, this literally I'm like, this looks like a fucking, like, the bikes in Star Wars, like. Why don't they show it taking off? Like, that is very sus. Is this real? This was 1 day ago. Volonaut. Yeah. This is May 4th. Says, may the force be with you. But, like, this looks fake. I don't know, like, this right here, like, this looks like almost green screen. I guess it is a 360 camera, but... I want to see it taking off.
Polish engineer Tomasz Patton, best known for the Jetson 1, has
Some AI-generated slop. Volonaut. Welcome to the future of mobility? Like, I need to see the tech behind, like, how are they flying? There's literally no information here. So this was a year ago. Like, what is it using? Like, what? Like, what's the propulsion? There's zero detail. There's nothing. They don't show it taking off. Sus. Likely this is the only model they have. This is the guy behind it. Yeah, it's Jetson Arrow. Like, this is what I was talking about, where it's like the bike, that bike seems way more practical than these, like, big ass things. Okay, this is so loud. These ones look cool. These ones are actually flying though. I don't know if we've covered this Jetson Arrow on there. Is Jetson 1 and took it for test flight? It's like, this thing seems insane, bro. What the fuck? Like, you fall with this thing, you're just shit out of luck. Okay. I don't know, this thing looks cool. It just, like... sparse on details. Yeah, it's definitely flying, like... those gyrocopters. Yeah, like Daisy. Like Rust. Alright. I feel like, though, I was thinking about, like... I could definitely probably, like, get people like this to, like, interview them. I just can't deal with, like, the PR speak bullshit, like... like, tell me everything. Cruising on property? Yeah. Like, this is crazy. The position you have to sit in is also, like, interesting. It's like a crotch rocket type of motorcycle position. Alright. Let's take a look at these 2 articles. It's kind of quick. Stick this in the back of the quad. Yeah, you could literally have like a fucking like a landing pad like on the back of a quad probably, or even just like a small pickup truck. Just take off and land from the back of that. Drive around. Yeah, this is cool. I wonder how much these would cost. I can't imagine it being like more expensive than a normal motorcycle. Okay. Let's finish off game day. You're cheaper than a motorcycle? I would hope. The only thing is like, unless like depending on how the manufacturing is, if it just like uses some like weird, like I don't know what like propulsion it uses. Like if it is it some like jet engine that's like only one manufacturer makes that costs like 50K, you know? Cheaper than a Gator? Yeah. I mean those are like sometimes like cars. Okay. Polygon. RIP. I used to read Polygon a lot more. Now I don't. But it's definitely a trend I've been noticing, especially in the video game space, where these like otherwise like larger tech like video game publications are either like getting sold off, bought, or they're just straight up going fully independent. Game Informer shut down, then was bought by a game company and is now like independent. I guess maybe it's not necessarily maybe it's just a trend in general. I think 404 Media, which I've covered, they are now an independent, fan funded. There is someone else who I read an article recently. Aftermath. These guys, they are ex Kotaku and are game journalism, and they're independent, fan funded. And maybe it looks like Giant Bomb and Polygon. Yep, they wrote an article about it too. Might be next. There's one more I'm thinking of. Jalopnik. These are cars, but I swear they used to be a part of Gawker, like Kotaku, and then they are independent. Now they're independent. They're owned by Static. Never mind. Jalopnik. Okay. Nope, they're not. They're conglomerate. Wrestling Inc. Heck yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, Vox sells Polygon. RIP. Let's actually check Valnet. The leading publishing and media investment company. Oh, they own Screen Rant? In Screen Rant. I've not heard of these other ones. Oh, Game Rant. You should have known. Fextra Life. Oh, that's tells me everything I need to know. I hate Fextra Life. But they own Open Critic, which I didn't know. Dual Shockers. Didn't know that either. Never heard of these. Simple Flying. Oh, what the fuck? I subscribed to these guys on YouTube. Didn't know that. So random. Android Police, XDA. What the fuck? They own so much and make use of? Okay, wow. This is actually I've never heard of this brand. They're saying okay. I guess, is this company like bad? I don't know. I hate like Extra Life, but Fox Media has sold Polygon, its video game and entertainment publication, to Valnet, owner of several entertainment brands, including Collider, The Gamer, and Gamerant. Many staff have reported being laid off in the sale. News broke as workers took to Blue Sky and other social media platforms to announce they are now out of a job, including editor-in-chief Chris Plante. RIP. Layoffs in game media have run parallel to massive layoffs in games. This sale means that Polygon, considered one of the most successful media outlets in games, will have a reduced ability to report on game industry and connect players with developers. Dang, they were one of the most successful media outlets in games. Then why did they, it's like, why did Vox sell then? Plant, I think his name's Plante, I don't know, Plante notes in his post, I'm no longer with Polygon. If you're hiring, please consider the many talented writers and editors now on the market. Every one of them deserves a spot on your staff. I won't be talking more about the sale because I wasn't involved. Dang, straight up. Staffers from seemingly every department were affected, including reporters, entertainment writers, video producers and writers, and editors from the guides, curation, and social media departments. I did watch the Polygon YouTube channel, I think. They did have some good games. I swear that's where, like, Brian David Gilbert, that guy who's made some good videos, I swear that's where he was, like, started. Press release notes that Polygon will join Valnet's gaming portfolio, and a quote by Vox Media CEO Jim Bankoff appears to confirm that Vox is getting out of the game media business with this sale. Transaction will enable us to focus on our energies and investment resources and other priority areas of growth across our portfolio of iconic digital publications and audio-video programming, while enabling Valnet to grow their leadership and authority in the gaming information category. Who's Vox owned now? This also seems to be another trend, because a lot of other larger publications did have dedicated gaming sections, like Vice. I know had a game section that was since shut down. I swear Condé Nast did, but potentially not. Fox Media. I like Scott Galloway. Let's see there. Okay. Oh, shit. They own New Yorker, Vulture, Curb, The Dodo. Okay. Yeah, Verge. Verge, notably. I like The Verge a lot. Okay. Yeah, but I could see, like, Polygon not really fitting in this this stack here. Like, this is more, yeah, this is okay. Like, The Verge covers games still too, you know, like. Yeah. The sale and layoff of so many media workers is perhaps just the latest and most visible incident in the increased consolidation and conglomeration of games media in the last decade. Fandom acquired GameSpot, in 2022, alongside Giant Bomb and other sites, which we'll take a look at right after this. Last year, IGN acquired the Gamer network of brands, including GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, and more. I did not know that. Wow. I liked Eurogamer because they were always independent too. Or at least, like, somewhat. Damn, IGN owns them now? Layoffs, whether they are mentioned or not in cheerful corporate pressers, are common in these deals. We need only look at EA's recent layoffs, similar application in its communications about cuts. The author of this piece was a senior reviewer and video game producer at Polygon, 2013-2015. Dang. Dang. So who does IGN own then? Like, IGN Brands. Corp. Bro, the website is literally broken. IGN's website is so bad. Opera GX IGN edition. They don't really publicize who they own, seems like. The Gamer Network. That's what we were just looking at. Look on Wikipedia. Subsidiaries. IGN. Okay, so merge. IGN Entertainment Group merged with GameSpy. Wow, what a throwback. GameSpy Industries in 2005. The merger also brought the game download site File Planet into the IGN group. As of 2011, both File Planet and GameSpy websites still operate as video game related websites. GameSpy is still up? Bro, not secure, don't even have HTTPS. Say goodbye and thank you for GameSpy team. Oh, I guess it's probably shut down. Damn, what a throwback. IGN Entertainment acquired the male lifestyle magazine Ask Men in 2005. 2004, IGN acquired film aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. In 2010, sold the website to Flixer. 2007, Humble Bundle announced that it would be acquired by IGN. I do remember that. IGN acquired the Gamer Network. Eurogamer, Rock Paper Scotch. Oh, VG2. I hate VG 24/7. Huh. In September 2005, IGN was acquired by Rupert Murdoch's multimedia empire News Corp for $650 million. Okay, I was like, oh, they're owned by Ziff Davis. Oh, okay, that answers everything. Ziff Davis owns like every popular like yeah, they like every popular online magazine pretty much. Literally all of them. Like they own CNET. Humble Bundle, Lifehacker, Mashable, PC Mag, Speedtest.net. Oh, they own Spiceworks? That's a popular like IT forum I've downstairs. Huh. The Skim. Oh, they own ZDNet. Didn't realize that either. Anyways, it's reminiscing. Yeah, okay, so now we have Giant Bomb. And Giant Bomb is owned by Fandom. And Fandom's the worst. Game Facts, Screen Junkies, Cord Cutters, GameSpot, Metacritic, TV Guide. Those are probably popular. Website and video outlet Giant Bomb is undergoing a strategic reset, according to owner Fandom Inc., after several staff disclosed publicly that they're no longer working for the brand. Check out Giant Bomb. I haven't really gone to Giant Bomb in a minute. Definitely not what I thought it was. It seems like the forums are like Jack's Crazy Dog. Like, what even is Giant Bomb now? Giant Bombcast? seems like maybe it's like Kind of Funny Games or something, like that kind of style of reporting, like more personality driven. Signs of disagreements behind the scenes emerged earlier this week after an episode of the Giant Bombcast was pulled that apparently featured the host mocking a series of new content guidelines from its managers. Uh-oh. Yesterday, May 1, producer and host Jeff Grubb announced on Blue Sky that he's no longer with Giant Bomb. Well, that was a dream come true. Knew it wouldn't last, though. Out of a job at the moment. Games Beats Mike Minoni, a Giant Bomb contributor, shared he's no longer participating in the show on Blue Sky. Needless to say, I will no longer be contributing to Giant Bomb. Nothing but love to all the wonderful people from there in GameSpot. Jeff was a workhorse of a hero and shouldered much responsibility there, and I'm furious with the execs treated him. Creative director Dan Reichert revealed on a recent live stream that he'll no longer be participating in the Giant Bombcast either, according to a report by Kotaku. We understand your frustration and appreciate your patience. We're actively exploring creative direction for the future of Giant Bomb and look forward to sharing more with you soon. Read a message shared on the Giant Bomb Blue Sky account. Yikes. Dang. Also, you can follow me at breezebrain.com, Blue Sky. I don't really post, but... Fandom Inc. elaborated in a statement to Kotaku, "We understand this programming pause isn't ideal for our audience, but it's part of a strategic reset and realignment of our media brands. We have some creative ideas for the future of Giant Bomb that we're actively working on that we'll be able to communicate more about soon." Fandom Inc. purchased Giant Bomb and GameSpot from Red Ventures in October 2022. I wonder, like what's the traffic of Giant Bomb? Like, is it... like, I wonder if they make money. I feel like podcasts are pretty sticky. Like, if you get an audience on a podcast, like, you're probably, like, especially one that's like recurring, weekly, daily, whatever, you kind of get a part of the routine and you kind of get in there. So I could see like their podcast and stuff doing pretty well. Interesting. All right. Yeah. Unsure about the future of games journalism. Likely, I don't know. I guess it's maybe just not as lucrative. Fan funded just seems to be the way to go. Seems to be the way to go. All right, that's really all I got planned for today. We could take a look at game trailer 2. And no, I'm probably just gonna end it today here. This game looks cool though, I will say. But 9 minutes. Okay, let's just fuck it. Let's just look a little few videos. We'll pick out good ones. Morroe, this looks cool. The Fortnite Star Wars. The dances out of that have been great. Darkest Days. This looks interesting. Desktop Survivors 98. I already know exactly what this game is, and I'm sure it's going to be cool. Funny. Cool. Really hasn't been much new. Watch this. Alright. Jesus Christ, so loud. The Cosmic Engine? Truth is an illusion. Paranoia is constant. And your humanity is an oddity. The graphics look great. This style of game. Seems like a fun action RPG. Good Shepherd Entertainment. Free-to-play zombie RPG shooter. The fact that this is free to play though just kind of ruins it a bit. Like, I swear these games are just not good like free to play style games. Like it's just gonna be like, I don't know. I guess not necessarily pay to win, but who's making this game? It doesn't even look like that crazy. Darkest Days on iOS, Android, and PC. They already has mixed reviews. Who's developing it? NHN? Alright, looks like not made anything else. I don't know, it looks kind of basic, I guess. I got a good amount of people in game, I guess. Okay, this looks just the graphics. Thanks, Clippy. Is this like Balatro? Is this what it's a joke on? Definitely. Wait, so I wonder if you actually play this on your own desktop. This game looks cool, like fun. Looks cool. Dang, I keep closing the Steam store. Not made anything before. Cool. Okay, Ocean Keeper. Is this like Dome Keeper? This music already is sick. Yep, this is literally like Dome Keeper or some shit, but it's... Bro, this looks so bad. Like, this looks good? Bro, this looks so basic. Like, what the fuck? Like, they literally... Like, Like, this looks like they just use, like, stock assets and, like, put, like, zero effort into this part, and then, like, this is where all the development budget went to. Even the UI, I guess. Music is good though. Okay, we get it. Ocean Keeper Dome Survival. I guess comments like it. Yeah, it looks kind of whatever. Okay. All right, that's all I got planned for today. We'll be back tomorrow. For some more news. For some more news. Get some more tech news going. Today was game day. There really just wasn't that much news today, so chill day. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in and hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. See ya. I actually don't have an end screen right now. All right.